we are into picks and bans, and let's just
Finally. So Sek was a little bit asleep at the keyboard there,
Yeah.
but we are in picks and bans right now with the Singapore Sentinels having that first pick and first ban up against the Bangkok Titans. So Corky being banned out by the Singapore Sentinels here. Very strange ban, I feel.
I think if I'm not wrong, they have been banning out Corky consistently. So I just feel that they don't like playing against Corky. And the Nidalee ban. 2 games Nidalee picks, and finally the ban.
Finally the ban coming out here. I do like the Nidalee ban coming out. I think Nidalee is incredibly strong right now. The Corky ban, no, Corky just recently got nerfed once again. I don't think he's that big of a powerhouse or ban-worthy, but still being banned out here. Aatrox being banned out by the Bangkok Titans. Shen being banned out by the Bangkok Titans. So that's a ban that the Singapore Sentinels don't need to ban out, because traditionally the Singapore Sentinels have always been banning out Shen, and Sejuani being banned out here by the Singapore Sentinels. So
interesting ban. And
obviously the pro players here know something we don't.
So here we have on your screens now the SGS top laner Ben W, and he's going to pick up the first pick. So Teemo's not banned out, and let's just see who Ben W actually decides to pick up for himself, or maybe possibly Hallelujah.
So Fiddlesticks has been banned out by the Bangkok Titans. We've seen the Singapore Sentinels Kyling being playing Fiddlesticks
and Annie
non-stop, and Fiddlesticks and Annie
Annie
non-stop so far. So BT respond with that Renekton pickup, it seems big, and it looks like they want to take away Annie from the Singapore Sentinels.
Yeah, so Kyling is not going to get his favorite champions, Fiddlesticks or Annie, and it seems that the top lane Crocodile powerhouse Renekton is going into the hands of the Bangkok Titans.
So they're going to have that Renekton pickup. We could potentially see that at least in the top lane. We've seen it before from the Singapore Sentinels. It used to be one of their most famous picks, but does not look like it will be so unless they lock in this Lee Sin. If they do lock in Lee Sin, I feel that we'll see that in the jungle here. But no, they're going to lock in Shyvana. Ben W plays a pretty decent Shyvana up in the top lane. Shyvana does very well against Renekton, and actually even forces Renekton to itemize differently if he wants to stay even in that lane.
Yeah, and here we have on your screens the Singapore Sentinels jungler, Hallelujah. Seems that he's probably going to be picking up the Elise in this game. And of course, the third pick for the Singapore Sentinels is going to be Thresh, a very strong support indeed, Thresh.
Very strong support. I think that Thresh does fairly well against Annie down in this bottom lane, but he can't really initiate on Annie. Annie feels a lot like a melee support, like a Taric, like a Leona. If you hook onto Annie, Annie has the potential to disengage. She's not that squishy. Annie is one of the more tanky range supports down the bottom lane with that 625 attack range as well. Can put down some decent poke damage. And Chowie once again hovering over this Teemo pick. We won't be too surprised if he does pick this one up. We've seen him pick it up quite a few times.
And we
KO
may see
being locked
in the mid lane, and we do. So something different from Cryonics this time, because he traditionally either plays Zillion or Gragas, and in the previous game he picked up Syndra. That didn't really work out for him, and KO this time.
So if Teemo does get locked in here, that means the Singapore Sentinels have very little attack damage from their team itself. So going to be quite surprised if they do lock in this Teemo pick for the bottom lane.
Yeah, and they have 5 seconds left to lock in this pick, and let's just see if Chowie actually goes for the Teemo pick, and it seems he does not. So this is going to be the first game in the GPL that the Singapore Sentinels does not pick up the Teemo. And here we have Chowie on your screen smiling, saying that, I've decided to troll you. I'm going back to the regular AD carries, and I'll show you how good I am on the AD carries. Or is he a bit rusty?
I do like the team composition coming out for the Singapore Sentinels here, just because, I mean, you have 3 champions here that do good, and I mean, actually very decent amount of magic damage. Shyvana does some good magic damage in the mid game. So does Elise, and KO can be one of those AP carry, hyper carries, and does quite a bit of magic damage. And Vayne, following that one up, has a ton of AD damage and shreds tanks like there's no tomorrow, and does very well in the backline. I think the combination of both KO and Vayne in the backline means that both these champions can shred the tanks of the Bangkok Titans very well. And on the other hand, the Bangkok Titans, if you look at their line, they have a very nice top laner. Renekton going up to the top laner. Doesn't do too well against Shyvana, but still a very strong top laner indeed. NDD will be in the jungle on Vi. Vi does very well in the jungle. Has a little bit of a weak early jungling phase, which Elise can take advantage of, but it's not that bad altogether. And we're going to have Sek on Graves, one of his more favorite champions on the bottom lane, comboing that up with Annie, who has huge bursts to combo with Graves, and then Intresso playing Gragas in the mid lane.
Yeah, in the Southeast Asian region, the junglers really play a big part in the team composition. And as we can see here, two very strong early game junglers able to give very good ganks especially in the mid lane itself, because for Vi, the Volt Breaker as well as the Assault and Battery combo into the mid lane at level 6 is going to spell a lot of trouble for Cryonix. But of course, Cryonix does have that intervention, able to be invulnerable for 2 seconds once he hits level 6. And Hallelujah playing the Elise, and the gank path of Elise is something that players need to look out for, because she can just repel, come down, change back to spider form, to human form, and throw out the cocoon for the stun, getting an easy kill early. So it's gonna be partially on the backs of the junglers to actually snowball the lanes, especially in the top lane where Shyvana and Renekton is a pretty even matchup, I must say, and it's gonna depend on who is able to actually go for these kills as well as help the lane just snowball into the favor.
Normally, I would not like the Graves pickup from any team just because he's really fallen off lately. He got nerfed quite a bit in Season 3 after his release, to the point where he was not being played as much. He really relies on getting ahead early. If Graves can get ahead early, he becomes near unstoppable, and just in terms of the raw burst damage he can dish out mid to late game. But Sek on Graves, he plays pretty much. He plays a lot of Graves. It's one of his favorite champions. The recent tournament in Indonesia, actually, the first tournament held in Indonesia, where when I was down there for the event, he played Graves in every single show match that he played. Just shows how much he likes this champion. He's very skilled on Graves as well.
Yeah, and if he kind of knows the limits of Graves, as well as now he's facing up against a traditional AD carry, I'm sure he has played against many a Vayne. And if he's able to actually just understand the limits of his champion, just go in for the burst combo, come out of it, and just allow him to go through the rotations as well as auto attack in between, I think the Graves pickup is going to be very nice indeed. Especially look at the amount of frontline damage they're able to put in front. Tibbers is going to be a tank in the front line, Renekton's going to be a tank, Vi is going to come in with her shield as well as a Vault Breaker and a solid battery combo, and Gragas itself is, has some form of at least damage reduction on his drink up.
And Graves actually does incredibly well against Vayne as well. Vayne doesn't have the strongest laning phase among the AD carries, but still Graves does very well against a Vayne. Thresh, on the other hand, does well against a Graves, but not so well against an Annie, so it's going to be a little bit of a fun matchup here.
Yeah, and we also cannot discount the fact that there might be a lane swap coming in, because we have traditionally seen that Renektons don't really like to go up against Shyvana, because it, like you said, it kind of forces Renekton to itemize slightly differently. And if they actually go for the lane swap, I think both teams will be rather happy with that lane swap.
So now we know why Hallelujah decided to pick up Elise this game after a long time.
Yes.
Hallelujah really wants to show off this game, I feel. As soon as
he wants to show off the skin, he wants to show off the border, he wants to show off the icon. So once you guys actually move to see what we are looking at on the loading screen itself, you guys will just take a look at what we are trying to say. So Victorious Elise skin. What do you think about that skin?
Victorious Elise skin for the challenger border and icon there. Hallelujah picking that one up for this game.
Yeah, I really like the Victorious Elise skin, and it kind of shows that that Elise looks like a sci-fi alien from the future, something that we may see something that StarCraft players might be familiar with. Looks like a Zergling, not really like a Zergling, but the colors and everything, kind of futuristic look.
So we're gonna go into the game very shortly. Just waiting for the last members of the Bangkok Tides to load up, and we'll be going into the level 1. So what do you predict will happen in the level 1 between these two teams?
I expect both teams to actually go in for the aggression, because I think both teams have decent level 1 capabilities as well. And look at that skin.
Look at that spider.
Kind of matches with the Aether Wing Kill as well.
Look at that spider. That is a cool spider. Okay, enough of that. Let's go to level 1. What do you think is going to happen between these two teams?
Like I said, I personally feel that SGS may go in for the invade, or at least is willing to go in for the level 1 fight. And they normally would go through the red buff, especially if they are on the blue side. And BKT, it seems that they may go for delayed invade as well. And we actually have SKLZ warding out the blue, and heading to the top side of the jungle as well.
So we've seen a lot in the Green Premier League where the Singapore Sentinels wait and then go into the red buff for the invade. That looks exactly what they're going to do, but they're going to walk over a ward here early on. So the Bangkok Tigers do know where they are. Instead of confronting them in the jungle though, they're going to head around, go into the blue buff of the Singapore Sentinels instead.
Yeah, and they may just camp out in the blue buff, and what if they actually pull off an ambush onto SGS? Does any team actually want to fight the level 1 at this point of time? Because it's very risky.
It sure is, and I mean, Bangkok Tigers are going to know. They know that they're leaving the jungle now, so it's going to be a confrontation between the two teams, I feel. Here we go, they're actually going to jump in here. Bendo is going to walk in first.
Yes,
wow!
Oh my goodness, look at the amount of damage coming in.
They don't manage to pick anyone up. Wow, that is so surprising. I mean, and he got the stun to so many people.
And they're just gonna
Bangkok Titans, not again. They've done this before. They've won a level 1 fight before, and then they suicided to a tower. I mean, they just won a level 1 fight there. Now they're gonna clear a wave. That's
and go back to the blue buff.
Yes, and go back to the blue buff afterwards. Very strange.
Wait, why did they take that wave anyway?
So the wave at top now, after taking that, is gonna shove into the tower. So they get a bit of experience, but means a little bit of a niche strategy. I mean, bottom lane's gonna get to the lane late, but it is Renekton going down to the bottom lane, so it's not that bad. I mean, Bendo is gonna miss. He's gonna miss a creep and only get 2 of the experience from that. And Renekton needs to go to the lane late anyway, so he still picks up a bit of experience. A little bit of a cheeky shot. He doesn't give them too much, but still an advantage nonetheless.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just take a look at the lane swaps that actually happened. Trezzo now on Gragas in the top lane, dueling up against Ben W on Shyvana. And the mid lane actually, BKT has made the 2-man mid. So we have Sek as well as SKOZ up against Cryonics in the mid lane, whereas SGS has normal lane. So it's Warlock on Renekton up against Kyling on Thresh and Chowie on Vayne.
It actually push in early. Renekton at least is knocked down here to help out with a gank. Nice play coming in from Kyling there. Good auto attack damage onto Renekton as well. He has that Thoran shield, so he will be able to regen a little bit of health. And then Tresto here going up against Shyvana. I don't think he's too happy about this lane matchup up at top.
No, I don't think he is. And Hallelujah just barely missing the cuckoo, standing there, haunting out Sek as well as SKLZ a bit. I mean,
just look at that spider. Look at it. Look at the spider.
Okay. So not much action so far, despite the fact that both teams actually, you know, kind of went up head to head in the level 1.
So we're going to see Singapore Sentinels put Hallelujah down into this bottom lane. It's actually going to go in onto this bottom lane, decides not to go for the gank onto Warlock, just helps out with the pushing top lane. We did see NDD jump in onto Ben W for a little bit, not getting too much damage. Now both top laners, so to speak, still have their potions available for use.
Yeah, and it seems that Ben W just playing it a bit cautiously, deciding to back off a bit because he can easily without that lane up against the Gragas.
So Singapore Sentinels here really zoning out Renekton right now, trying to get a lot of damage down onto this bottom tower. Hallelujah helping out with that push. Vi is now coming down to help Renekton out to hold the tower.
Yeah, and the moment NDD actually shows himself, I actually expect Ben W to go in for the aggression onto Trezzo because he can easily just kind of dodge out the barrel, maybe not the body slam, but still Ben W is definitely going to take more damage. And Kyling taking a ton of damage from Bola, probably the stun coming in, and a great death sentence allows Chowie to pick up the first blood onto NDD.
Fantastic death sentence coming out from Kyling there, was able to pull back NDD into his team there. Chowie was able to pick up that kill as well, giving him red buff on Vayne this early on, not something Bangkok Titans wanted to do.
Here we have the replay. Yeah.
Gonna go into a replay, but meanwhile, in actual game time, you might see Warlock going out. But in the replay, you see a fantastic death sentence going out. Now we're gonna see in the actual game, Warlock here gonna get taken down by Hallelujah. They managed to dive him as he stood in the lane for too long. But you saw in that replay there, Kyling was able to walk out of the tower range, throw the death sentence once he was completely out of tower range, and then get the play off right after for the maximum crowd control time.
very good layers of crowd control coming in from SGS, and with that, 2 kills being picked up in the bot lane itself, as well as the turret. SGS in the commanding 2,000 gold lead, and we actually have NDD trying to use the Vault Breaker onto Hallelujah, and it seems that Hallelujah will just walk away from that.
Hallelujah did have to burn his flash though down at that bottom lane to get away from that Vault Breaker. Random Vault Breaker thrown out by NDD there. And W here going up against Intresso up in the top lane. I'm quite surprised that Intresso has the creep score, the minion score advantage right now ahead of BenW or Shyvana. I thought that Shyvana would be able to beat Gragas out up in this top lane.
Yeah, I think it was because of the aggression that NDD kind of put in. He showed his face earlier and just, you know, said, BenW, you better not bully my Gragas so much because I'll be there to stop you if you do. And BenW doesn't have any ward, so it's kind of playing the cautious game for BenW as well.
So we are going to see that Intresso here trying to leave tower range, trying to leave the lane actually. Does not have any more consumables to keep his mana or his health up, so good time to leave the lane. BenW on the other hand has that Goron shield, so will naturally regenerate health and is a manaless champion, so does not require any mana regeneration.
So here in the mid lane, Cryonics having a slightly tougher time up against this duo lane because of the aggression SKLs that actually put in, and a deep ward just to spot out any rotations coming in from the Bangkok Titans. And look at that
ward.
Beautiful, I think it's called the Victorious Ward.
Victorious ward.
Yeah. I love the ward skins coming in, especially in the past few seasons with the harrowing ward skins and every other ward skins. Can't wait for the Dravenhead ward skin to finally make its way to the Southeast Asian servers.
So here we have NDD and Warlock battering down on...
Wait, what? Oh, okay. The smite. NDD had to blow the smite so that they actually picked up that blue buff for themselves. So the counter juggling from Hallelujah it's not really successful, so but they still managed to force the smite out of NDD. But I don't think he was wanting to pass that blue buff to anyone else anyway, since Intresso was in the top lane.
So second, SKLZ here haven't been able to put much pressure onto this mid lane so far. I mean, they've gotten some decent damage onto the tower, I believe, but not too much. Cryonics has done a good job of holding out this lane, walking in between his lane and the blue buff right now. I wanted to see if he could spot that one out. Get some good damage and wave play out. The later this goes though, the harder it's going to be for Sec and SKLZ to put pressure onto this mid lane, just because Cryonics will be able to clear the waves so well.
Yeah. And it's really surprising to me to see that Intresso is still ahead on farm compared to BenW, because how does Shyvana kind of... I expect Shyvana to be able to kind of duel up with Gragas one-on-one rather easily as well.
Looking at the difference between the 2v1 solo laners, so we see that Renekton had a hard time of farming out. He's only at 30 minion score right now. He's only able to pick up a Doran's Blade after he head back to base. Cryonics, on the other hand, is keeping up in terms of minion score incredibly well. Actually doing equally well as Intresso up at this top lane.
Yeah. And that's definitely going to hurt Renekton, as Renekton does fall behind if he doesn't get the items that he needs to become tanky to actually use the full ultimate, the full duration of his dominance ultimate. And if Renekton doesn't start to fall behind, and you know, Vayne can just kind of bully Renekton, and if you allow Vayne to farm, Vayne's gonna just smash faces, like really destroy faces, especially once she picks up the Blade of the Ruined King.
Especially with a KO on your team, able to shred the magic resistance and armor of the champion that she is auto attacking. That KO herself can shred tanks pretty well for an AP carry.
And with the Stinger being picked up by Cryonics already, it's gonna just allow for him to just put on that maximum armor and magic resist shred that you were talking about as well.
Sure is. So not too much action going on between the two teams. Zek here does get ignited by Cryonics. He has to flash away just because of the incoming Annie. Zek though only had to use his barrier, did not have to flash away from that situation. So Cryonics going a bit aggressive there, burning some summon in return, but he's gonna lose out too much. Now the flash coming from SKLZ. Cryonics has no ultimate. Zek's gonna pick, actually no, SKLZ is gonna pick the one up. Good play coming in from the Bangkok Titans.
Yeah, Cryonics was a little bit too far ahead, and SKLZ had that flash up, had the start up, as well as the Tibbers, blew the exhaust so that they could easily burst down Cryonics.
So a little bit of a misplay coming from Carnix. They should have headed back to that base, and that's going to signal Dragon coming in. The Death Sentence does go down to SKLZ. Kylie has gone into the team. Flames are back away though. Warlock's going to flash in for the stun. There goes the lockdown onto Kylie. He flashes away, but Ignite is picking. NDD is going to go down here. The final auto attack for Chowie will be enough. Tumbling away for his life. Now Hallelujah caught in a bad spot. The Spider will get crushed though by the Bangkok Titans.
Yeah, I'm wondering why Kalik decided to go in for that, because they already picked up the Dragon. He landed the Death Sentence and used the second activation Q to actually go in. And here we have Kyling being the one picked up. The Assault and Battery actually goes down. And here the Slice and Dice actually manages to pick up the kill. And NDD being taken out by, I think it was the auto attack from Chowie, and Hallelujah decides to repel. Chowie decides to topple away, but when the Spider falls, he gets squashed.
So the goal score is fairly even now between the two teams. Good plays coming in from the Singapore Sentinels early on to pick up the tower and the kills on the bottom lane. Another fantastic play coming from the Bangkok Titans up with that Dragon pick up Carnix in the mid lane, and a nice Dragon pick up and fight in the Dragon pit.
Yeah, and in that fight itself, Bangkok Titans actually took a kill in the mid lane and took 2 kills at the Dragon pit. So they effectively got 3 kills and a Dragon in exchange for just 1 kill by the Singapore Sentinels.
The only worrying thing now is that 2 of the 3 kills went to Annie in support for the Bangkok Titans, so that might not be the best place for the gold to go to, but still 2 kills nonetheless.
Yeah, and it seems that, you know, the lanes are still kind of even, I guess, and despite the one tower that SGS has taken, they haven't really pulled out the advantage, and the very nice Sentinel is coming out to sack the play, and it seems that they are just able to get away with Hallelujah flanking from the side. I think he's a little bit out of position. Let's just see if they actually manage to pick up any kills at all.
So they're going to go in onto SKLZ again. Hallelujah jumps in, decides not to go deep onto SKLZ though, even though he's at a sliver of health. Ben W is going to come in. Cocoon does not land. Cassie's going to throw Ben W into the team. Collateral damage comes down and whips everybody. Chowie comes in from between 2 towers though. Picks up the snipe onto SKLZ. Now it's a 4-5 situation. Chowie coming from the back lines. There goes the flame. Death Sentence just barely misses there. He should be able to pick up this tower.
They had only 3 men in the mid lane, but still managed to force out the 4 men of BKT out of their own lane and actually managed to pick up the kill as well as the turret. So 1 kill, 1 turret for no deaths.
Very, very good Death Sentence to start off. Trouble with Condemn knocks him away from the rest of the team. Chowie actually gets locked down by members of the Bangkok Titans, but there's not enough damage to take him down.
That was actually a very nice Condemn, because it just threw NDD so far away from the entire Bangkok Titans, allowing Singapore Sentinels to just easily pick up that kill.
So you saw that in the previous fight, the Death Sentence started off, the hook onto Sec was enough to pull him close enough to start for the Singapore Sentinels to engage, despite them being far away, but unfortunately the flame stopped him from hitting the outer walls of the box early on, and also we saw that Renington
decided to break one of the box walls,
to break one of the box walls as well, allowing the Sec to escape that one.
So the current goal lead by the Singapore Sentinels is about 2,500 gold. They have 2 turrets in their favor as well as 5 kills, whereas the Bangkok Titans have only taken the Dragon and no outer turrets at this point of time.
See, the Shyvana has already picked up that Sunfire Cave. Renekton though still sitting on the Giant's Belt and the Chain Vest. Not quite have that minion score to pick that one up just yet. Still very close between the two teams, about 2,000 gold advantage going to the Singapore Sentinels right now, but with Dragon down and towers down for the Bangkok Titans, does not look like there'll be too much action taking place anytime soon, but Dragon will be up in about 2 minutes time.
Yeah, and the only outer turret for the side of the Bangkok Titans, and we actually have Cryonic dealing with Sec, dealing enough damage, and you pulling off the flash of Reckoning to try to pick up the kill. And it seems that SKLZ may just be able to pick up the kill onto Cryonic with
there goes the auto attack
and no kills.
SKLZ though now in a lot of trouble. The Spider has decided to jump straight onto him. Another jump onto him. The slow from the red buff might just be enough. One more SQ might be all Hallelujah needs, and he will pick up the kill on SKLZ. Fantastic micro rhythm. Chowie though decides to run back into that one. Death Sentence does go into a trust, the Condemn will knock him away. NDD though charging the Vault Breaker, hits another wall though to get out of that one. Hallelujah is running up to this top lane. They might be able to turn this one around if Chowie is able to lifesteal off these minions.
Yeah, and that was a great zoning coming in from Kyling because he uses Death Sentence to actually prevent Intrezo from using any of his skills, and Chowie just uses the Condemn to make Intrezo back off, and the box was used to prevent NDD from actually pulling off that Volt Breaker combo into the engage.
Going out there, just whipping everybody up in this top lane. Nobody from the Bangkok Sentinels is joining up at this top lane, so this might be an easy dive for the Singapore Sentinels, especially with Cryonics closing in from behind. NDD has to fall break out of this one. Death Sentence just barely misses the slow for Cryonics. Will be enough to lock down NDD, and Tresso has the body slam out of there. But another kill picked up for the Singapore Sentinels.
Yeah, Bangkok Titans haven't been making some of the best rotations in the game. They have not been able to actually respond to the aggression coming from Singapore Sentinels, and that is why Singapore Sentinels have been able to pick up the 3 turrets as well as the 8 kills.
BenW here to show his dominance over Warlock down at this bottom lane, one-on-one situation. He does have the item advantage and also the advantage in terms of experience. Dark Passage are going to allow Hallelujah to get out of there safely, even though he was fairly safe to begin with. Sec finally takes down this mid lane tower after being in a 2-on-1 situation for such an incredibly long amount of time.
Yeah, it's the first turret of the game that the Bangkok Titans have managed to pick up, and it just kind of pulls the goal lead slightly back, and here we have a replay.
So we're going to see how Chowie got low in that fight earlier where the Dark Passage had to bring him back to safety. There we go, use that Dark Passage, decides to walk back into the Bangkok Titans for a little bit, but there you go, the gank coming from NDD and Intresso almost managing to take down Chowie there.
And here the Dragon fight SGS decides to go in for the contest, even though Bangkok Titans have already picked up the Dragon. NDD taken down very low, Chowie wailing onto it, Cryonics being taken down, does not have the ult to save his life. Intrezo being taken down by Chowie as well as the rest of the Singapore Sentinels, and now they're chasing on the Warlock. Hallelujah uses Rebel to come in, and decides to flash over the wall. Kyling still staying on the outside, dueling out with second Warlock, and that was...
It was a good fight coming in for the Singapore Sentinels. They were able to trade 2 for 3, but it did lose Dragon there. Very nice turnaround coming from Sec and Warlock. We're able to completely shut down Kyling as he tried to come into the Dragon, but now they're going to jump onto the Sec. They were able to take him down with ease, condemn into the wall as he runs back into the tower. Chowie should have become unstoppable and pick up that kill.
That was the extended fight as well as the extended ace. So effectively they pick up 5 kills and only lost, I think it was 2 members in place of the Dragon.
Only 2 members lost there. So we're going to see the Singapore Sentinels push in onto this tower now. Getting some decent damage down onto it. They might even be able to pick it up. NDD jumps in onto Chowie. Haven't did too much. SKL is dead. And Intresso gets some good damage down the BenW. He's a sliver away. Intresso has to flash with the body time to pick that one up. Hallelujah looks like he wants to turn this one around though. Chowie's getting some good micro harass off onto the Bangkok Titans as Hallelujah helps him out with some additional damage.
It seems that Singapore Sentinels are not going to pick up this fight, and neither are the Bangkok Titans, so both sides are just going to back off. Or are they going to back off, because Hallelujah comes in, lands the cocoon onto Intrezo. Chowie pops his final hour, managing to actually put in some damage, taking a lot of damage from NDD, actually fighting back very well. SKLZ in trouble. NDD has been taken down and they pick up 2 kills, and just as I say this, Cryonics as well as Kylie actually dive the top lane turret to pick up the kill onto Sec.
Good use of the flank into the Death Sentence there, almost guaranteeing it to land. Hallelujah here trying to fancy his chances of stealing this blue buff away, and Tresso and Warlock just don't have the resources to stop him from doing so. Should be able to smite that one away, which he does do so. Victorious, at least in the jungle, able to pick that one up.
Yeah, and Singapore Sentinels really knowing the extent on how much they can actually fight this fight and dive this turret, and it's going to allow them to actually snowball their lead even further ahead, because Bangkok Titans seem to just pick fights in at very bad places. And the extended chase from Dragon really shows how much Singapore Sentinels really want to snowball the fight. They even dive the Renekton under the turret.
So we're going to see Bangkok Titans here just defend, try to defend for the Singapore Sentinels push here. I mean, Singapore Sentinels do have about a 4,000 gold advantage ahead of the Bangkok Titans, which is fairly decent for 20 minutes into the game, but it's not a drastic amount. Bangkok Titans are still in this game, so to speak.
Yeah, and Vi hasn't been able to pick up the huge, tank items as well as the health. And it seems that Hallelujah is gonna be the one who actually comes out of the jungle, coming out with very good ganks, and the oracles being picked up onto Kyling.
see the Bilgewater Cutlass being picked up by Shyvana here, going for that offensive item right after the Sunfire Cake. You have Renekton over here going for the Warden's Mill. Instead, Hudley is just waiting around this Dragon Pit right now, right in the pit itself, to see if the Bangkok Titans try anything.
Yeah, it seems that the entire of the Bangkok Titans want to go in for this mid lane push, and the Death Sentence lands on the side with Kylie going in as well as popping up the box, and Chowie on the side, on Vayne, using the final hour to just pick up as many kills as possible. So first kill goes to Crowning, picking up NDD. Chowie gets the second kill onto SKLZ, and his second kill as well as a double kill onto Intrezo, and they pick up the ace there. And Shyvana was not in that fight at all. BenW did manage to rotate down but did not contribute to the fight at all. It seems that we will have a replay as SGS pick up Baron.
And it started off with that fantastic Death Sentence coming in for Kylie there, landed straight up the stack, jumped into the team, put down the box. Here we have Chowie doing what a Vayne should do, ending up at the front of the fight as it ends, picking up one kill and then another onto Interest, so taking down the carries very, very easily. Chronics in the back lines here, getting some good damage down onto Warlock, also onto Sec early on, and as you said, BenW not even in that fight, just a fantastic initiation was all that the Singapore Sentinels needed there to pick that one up.
Yeah, and in that time the replay was happening, they have picked up a 20 over minute Baron, and that's definitely going to snowball the game in their favor, because right now they have 3 towers in their favor, as well as about an 8,000 gold lead. And as you were saying earlier, a 4,000 gold lead snowballing to an 8,000 in the mere seconds.
So very, very good pickup there by the Singapore Sentinels. They look strong coming into the mid-game of this game against the Bangkok Titans, but the Bangkok Titans are not out just yet.
Back off after taking the inhibitor turret as well as the middle inhibitor. So this is going to allow the lanes for Singapore Sentinels to push even more because of that mid lane inhibitor pickup.
It sure will. So now we're gonna have to see what the Bangkok Titans do to retaliate to this. We were saying before they were 4,000 gold behind, then 8,000. Now they're 10,000 gold behind the Singapore Sentinels as we have a mandatory pause. We are going to go back to the game very, very shortly, and as you said, very, very good for the Singapore Sentinels to pick up. The plays coming in from Kylie though have been really, really phenomenal for the Singapore Sentinels. I mean, the Death Sentence have just been so accurate this game, landing on the sec multiple times, creating so many opportunities. Despite the one Death Sentence down at the Baron Pit early on, which costed the Singapore Sentinels a bit, the rest of the plays, especially starting off the 2-man dive, the 3-man dive under the towers, the team fights have been taking place, getting the Death Sentence on the crucial targets, starting off the initiation for the Singapore Sentinels has been crucial for them to pick up these team fights.
Yeah, and I really like what the Bangkok Titans are doing now. They know that they are in a disadvantage, but they still want to maintain that vision control and hopefully get some picks out on the side of the Singapore Sentinels. And here, as I said, the picks might come out. A great explosive cast coming and the stun, whereas Cryonix is able to, oh my goodness, look at the damage onto Intrezo. But it seems that they are able to pick out Cryonix. So that is the kind of picks that the Bangkok Titans need. But as we speak, BenW has just taken out another outer turret.
So it is the picks that the Bangkok Titans need. They need to try and pick members off of the Singapore Sentinels off and then go for team fights right after if they can. But you just saw that it took so much effort to take down just Chronics alone, and he was almost able to take down Intrezo all by himself.
Yeah, and as I said, the vision control coming out from the Bangkok Titans, Kyling decides to deny all that vision, and it seems that, you know, Singapore Sentinels definitely do not want to get picked off in the jungle, and they just want to push, get the turrets, and win the game.
So we're going to see the Singapore Sentinels here actually push into this tower down at the bottom lane. The Dark Passage would allow Harley to get out there, but Eric's the Vault Break onto Chowie and locks him up. Warlock on top of him as well. Chowie gets locked up for quite a large amount of time, and he almost jumps onto it. He's going to live with a sliver of health though. SKLZ actually might get taken down. Now the Dark Passage is there for Harley to take, but can he get it? He might be able to. No, it's being blocked out by the Bangkok Titans. Nice use the repel to try and get back down. Get onto that depth. Sentinels was not able to do so though.
Yeah, that was a great fight coming in, and Chowie managing to kite out that engagement. He actually had the assault and battery onto him and layered with the Renekton stun as well, and still he managed to use the final hour, and now he's coming back to get his revenge, and a great death sentence putting on the CC chain. The play kind of slightly misses, but still with the Blade Awakening active, Renekton is not going to get away.
Sure isn't. So 907 for Chowie on Vayne right now. Playing very, very well with the hyper carry in this game, doing incredibly well for his team right now. Singapore Sentinels just need to make another sieging opportunity. The Baron buff has gone down for the members of their team, but still, with that inhibitor down, they should try and push into one of the side lanes and push their advantage against the Bangkok Titans. Bangkok Titans, on the other hand, they really need to try and pick somebody off. They need to pick somebody off and then go for a team fight afterwards, or wait on the tower, clear the waves, and try and force Singapore Sentinels to die. But they're going to go for a pick onto Kyling, not able to get the knockback into the team though.
Yeah, that was a good attempt by the Bangkok Titans, and if they actually manage to pick up Kyling, who has been the one trying to actually making the engagements happen, they may feel confident enough to go for the 4v5, but in spite of that, they did not manage to pick up Kyling. Ooh, and the taunt there coming up from Hallelujah in the base itself. Seems that Singapore Sentinels is very confident of actually winning and taking this game.
They do seem like it right now. They are actually split. We have Ben W up at the top lane. 3 members of Singapore Sentinels down the bottom lane, and Chowie farming red buff.
Yeah. The Ben W has been the top lane for the longest of time, and it seems that SKLZ coming in for the flash did not manage to land the stun. Actually, he does manage to land the stun only onto Cryonics, and Cryonics actually pops the intervention, manages to flash, and it seems that they are able to get away a 5-man play, and Hallelujah is still alive, trying to pick up the kills if he can. It seems that Hallelujah may not get out of this alive.
Despite being in a 5-on-3 situation though, we just saw that Bangkok Titans had a hard time just even trying to lock down members of the Singapore Sentinels there. And Trestle picks up a kill on the Chronics. Ben W here still trying to split push up this top lane. Jumps in onto SKLZ and gonna pick up that kill pretty much for free there. Gonna have Sec rejoin his team. There goes another death sentence straight onto NDD. Jumps in with the flame. There goes the block. Not popping onto anyone though. Chowie though kiting around the rest of the Bangkok Titans. Pops Sec away from the team though, and now he's gonna chase onto Intresso as Ben W tries to finish off Sec deep into enemy territory.
Yeah, Ben W actually managed to get out of it alive, and Intresso hoping out to pick up the cleanup kills onto Ben W as well as Chowie, and it seems that Chowie is the only one that survived that fight.
And inhibitor response.
Yeah, and inhibitor response. Oh wow.
Unable to push in the base there, just nice to the inhibitor respawning, but he will be able to take that one down. Only SKLZ is up with NDD about 5 seconds away from respawning, so might not be able to finish the game there, but the next push for the Singapore Sentinels should be able to help finish off this game.
And as it all happens, as the entire team on both teams actually respawn after that fight, excuse me, the Baron is actually just respawned as well, so maybe we may have Singapore Sentinels go for that final Baron just to, you know, secure their advantage, go in with the extra stats and just win the team fight as well as take the game.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do decide to do. We have Elise deep in the jungle of the Bangkok Titans. When nearby Vision Ward has been placed down at Baron, but they don't really need that Baron buff at all right now. I think Singapore Sentinels should be able to take this one. Yeah, I mean, such a huge lead as well against the Bangkok Titans. Yeah. Bangkok Titans, they needed to pick people off earlier, but now I don't even think that is enough.
Wow, look at the burst and the standoff coming in. NDD almost taken down from 100 to 0. We actually have Hallelujah putting the repel and the venomous fight as well. Kylie actually kind of missed out the, you know, death sentence there, but came in with the flash play.
Good flash play, knocking back so many members of the Bangkok Titans there. They pick up 3 kills for none. Double kill going on to Chronics with Chowie picking one up for himself. Chowie's now 13-0-9 on his Vayne. That's a phenomenal performance coming in from him. Singapore Sentinels look to just push into this base right now. Hallelujah just waiting on the outskirts. Barrow does Down kind of clear up the minions, but another nice death sentence onto interest. The Flay will actually stop Ben W. Not Ben W. NDD in his path as well. A double kill will go to Chowie, and the Singapore should be able to destroy this Nexus and take this game, grabbing 4th spot in their group.
Yes, they secure the 4th spot. They are no longer tied to Bangkok Titans, and it seems that, whoa, we just got hit by the bat once again. And a great game from the Singapore Sentinels. Happy to see Chowie back onto his roots as an AD carry on his vein, and very strong play from him. He went 15-0-9 in that game.
I really have to say though, the support plays coming in from the Singapore Sentinels was phenomenal that game. We were saying in the pregame how Kylie banks on his fiddlesticks, banks on that Annie pick as well, but he just played fantastic on Thresh. I'd say about 90% of the plays that Singapore Sentinels made started off with Death Sentence or a Flay coming in from Kylie there. And even all the way from the first few fights down at the bottom tower, use it at the precise moments onto the appropriate targets, getting fantastic initiations off for the Singapore Sentinels. And look at it, he was involved in 24 out of the 34 kills that the Singapore Sentinels managed to pick up.
Very good contribution. He didn't even pick up a kill for himself. Good guy support.
Good guy support.
Good guy support right there. And like you said, very good plays coming in from both Kylie as well as Chowie. And the aggressiveness coming out from Cryonics, Harliver, and Ben W really kind of helped them evolve the game.
It sure did. Cryonics did a very good job of holding on the 2v1 lane and actually pretty much surviving the 2v1 lane as if it was a one-on-one solo lane at mid lane, just farming it out, not allowing Sec or SKLZ to get an advantage. Despite some few hiccups he had in the mid lane, he did very well. Halia getting some good pressure on the Bangkok Titans. On the Bangkok Titans side though, I felt that Sec and SKLZ, they needed to put more pressure onto mid lane of the Singapore Sentinels. They have such a huge burst combination, good pushing potential from Annie and Grace, but they just weren't able to create anything from happening despite capitalizing on some bad plays that Cryonics tried to make at the mid lane. NDD, on the other hand, I felt that he was a bit of a poor performance in the jungle, was not helping out Renekton in the 2-on-1 lane, was not pushing the advantage in the 2v1 mid lane, and also not abusing the fact that he had better jungle control just because he has that 2v1 mid.